This is the first block that we're going to work on tonight. In this block, I wanted to use the basic 8 to kind of separate it out and place one pattern over the whole thing. Just giving the idea again that it's okay to cross over the piecing lines when you do this. So we're going to use our basic 8, and this is stencil 1959. And when we're on the quilt, we're going to set that on there. We're going to grab our pounce powder, pounce over that so we have our lines, and that will be on the fabric. Now because we're drawing, I'm just going to use an expo marker and give myself some dotted lines to stay within. But it's always good to take a picture of your quilt blocks that you're working with and print them out so you can kind of design on the go. That way you have an idea and a blueprint what you're working on as you get to the quilt. I'm also going to open up our basic 8 1 and 2 book. It's got a bunch of different designs, and I'm going all the way down to page 60 on this one. And this is the design that I wanted to throw over the block. Now, in the basic 8 book, it has arrows showing you how to kind of draw it out. I personally like to do my feathers first because I don't like to do feathers backwards, quote unquote. So I am going to do the feather and then wrap around with the stem to come back to the center. But we're starting and stopping in the center. Always take note of your design and seeing how it works directional wise. So each quadrant of this block, or each triangle section of this, they come together and meet. So keep that in mind. If you want them to spiral, kind of to give it some movement, you could reverse the direction of every other one of those and they would have a spiral movement, or you can keep that coming in together look. Completely up to you. So with this one, we're starting and stopping here in the center, and we're going to come out, do a feather, a feather, a feather, and travel back down. And then if we wanted them to come together, we would do this side over here. So we'll do a feather, 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 and come back down. There's that one. And then you would repeat that all the way around. I'll give you an idea of what it would look like if you reversed the other one. So we'll go on to this side over here. So we're going to do a feather, feather, feather. If you want to add one more feather in there, you could do that. And then keeping that same direction, you're just going to go the exact same way. Feather, feather. We'll do 3 this time, and feather there. So you can have it kind of rotate around the block, or you could have them come in together. I like this one more for this type of block. I would probably do this maybe on a pinwheel. Just since the pinwheel has natural movement, this coming together kind of solidifies the block itself, which looks really well. So this is the design that we are going to do right here. So let's head over to the machine and start stitching it out. So the first thing that you're going to notice on this block is I am using a really bright neon thread just so you can see the actual quilting. I probably wouldn't recommend using a neon yellow on a red, white, and blue block, but hey, everybody has their own thing. So what we're going to start off by doing is using that basic 8 on the block. So I'll move my machine out of the way, and I'm going to set my basic 8 on the block label side down, and I will get the 4 corners of my basic 8 to match up with the 4 corners of my block as best as I can. And then I'm going to grab my pounce powder, give it a little bit of a hit, and brush it on. I'm using the white pounce powder for this one, and just brush it on ever so gently, holding the stencil in place while you do it. And just try to get everything brushed. Pull it back and we'll be able to see what we need, which is perfect. With the pounce powder, you can also use best press or a little spritz of water to keep it held down. So I have my spray mister bottle, and I am going to spritz right over the top of this fabric. So I'm going to spritz right over the top of that, and that just holds that powder down in place. So whenever you're stitching, it doesn't bounce away. And then with this white pounce powder, you can either iron it off, or you can use the Aunt Pam's quilt sponge that we carry, and it brushes right off really, really easily. So again, we are in the basic 8 book. We're doing page 60 for the design, the one that we're working on. So we're going to start and stop in the center of this one. So I'm going to bring the machine to the center of the block. take a single stitch to pull up my thread, and then I'll tie those down just like that. Perfect. And I'm in stitch regulated mode, 12 stitches per inch for this one, and we're going to start off by doing that little bit of that feather. We're doing 3 of them and then wrapping around back to the center portion. So here we go. We have 1, 2, and then 3 wraps around. And remember, they're facing each other, so we're going to turn this way. 1, 2, and then 3 wraps around. Then we go this way. 1, 2, 3. Pause to move our threads or trim them, completely up to you. I'm just gonna move them out of the way for now. Just like that. So that's going to place that right in there. Now if you wanted to add a little bit of extra out here in the corners, you could come up through the center and do like a peacock feather here and then travel back. It's going to add a little bit more extra stitching, but let's take a look and see what it would look like. Why not? Since we're here, we'll travel up through that vein. We'll give us a nice teardrop and then add 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Now that adds more overstitching here in the center. You can kind of factor that in maybe on your way back of one of these to throw that in there, but that just adds a little bit more kind of tacking down the block on that outer corner, and that's completely up to you if that's something you'd like to do.